Welcome to another edition of Brevard News, your trusted news source for real news in Brevard County. I'm Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator, and I'm joined by Katie Delaney, who is running for District 1 and County Commission seat. Also, I'm joined today by a special guest, Tom Perez. He is the director of the East Coast Florida region of the Right to Clean Water. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
This is always an interesting thing. Clean water is not an issue that is a Democrat or Republican issue. I mean, it's going to affect anybody who doesn't have clean water. We've got problems here in Titusville with clean water. And Tom, you and Kate Perez, your wife, have been at this for quite a while, and others. Tell us what's going on here. Walk us through what is happening with the Clean Water Act, what's happening with Titusville. How did we get here? What's going on?
Well, since you brought up the act, there's a lot of legislation that's been in place for years, including the Clean Water Act. Unfortunately, though, there are ways around it, okay? And that explains the situation that we're in, that over the past decades, okay, our environment has gone to pot, okay? We used to have a fishing industry here in Titusville. We used to have 6 Reds tournaments. People came in from all over to eat our seafood from our lagoon. That industry's gone. The fishing industry, sport fishing industry, is pretty much gone. Okay, manatees have been dying all over the place. I mean, I could go on this, okay? But if you like, I'd like to give you just a quick rundown of the history of the Titusville effort, okay? It was preceded by other efforts, but let me just focus on this since it's what we're really here about for one thing. Okay, so in July of 22, Speak Up Titusville managed to meet the requirement of 3,469 petitions that were collected. Back in August, which is the next month of 22, the city hired outside counsel to fight this initiative to keep it off the ballot.
Did they say why?
The same reasons that they used throughout. Okay, this is not constitutional. People didn't know what they were signing because it wasn't understandable. So this is what they wanted to keep it off the ballot.
But that had already been vetted, right? All of these questions had already been vetted. Okay.
They signed off on this, in the first. Oh, by the way, we repeatedly went to council, okay, because we really wanted them to say, hey, put it on the ballot. You don't have to collect all these thousands of petitions. It's hard work, okay? And you're talking about just a few people doing this, okay? So it was in our best interest to say, council, everybody wants clean water. Your citizens want clean water. Will you put it on the ballot? And they kept saying no. And we kept coming back and saying, how do you want the wording changed? How do you want it to read? What do you want?
But legally, you had already met the threshold to get it on the ballot.
No, this was before.
Okay.
This was before. While we were collecting,
Okay.
we were going to council and saying, hey, put it on the ballot.
Okay.
And they didn't want to put it on the ballot. Once it made that threshold, then now they wanted to prevent it from going on the ballot anyway. Okay? So, it's crazy business. Okay, so move forward to the election. A few months later, we won over 82% of the city.
No. Say that again. Say it loud. That 82% of the citizens. When do you get 82% of the citizens to agree with anything?
You think, yeah, it would be phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
So
I mean, we were
82% of the citizens voted that this initiative should go through. Now tell us what happened.
Well,
the city council said, "Glory, hallelujah," right? And let's get this done, right?
So, the PAC that was behind all this, Speak Up Titusville, were 4 officers, as you probably know: Michael Myjack, myself, Tony Schifalo, and Marlis Breckel. We were the 4 officers. So they decided that they were going to sue, okay, on grounds that citizens didn't understand.
The city decided that they were going to sue.
Right.
Okay.
In order to not certify the ballot. Okay. So Judge Holcomb said only if they didn't have all their faculties would they have not understood. what was on
Right.
Okay. So that was May 22 of 23. It took from November to May finally to go before a judge
So the judge basically rebuked the city of Titusville.
in more ways than one. That was one that it's in quotes, okay? This is what the guy said. All right. So the city lost again, number two. Okay. Now we move forward. The city insisted on a do-over, a rehearing. So get this, a rehearing means that you really go before the judge again, rehash everything in order to decide whether or not to have another court hearing. The same exact hearing that just happened is going to happen yet for a third time.
All the while, the citizens have voted over 82%. Money is being wasted by the city
Right.
as they do this, right?
And we're paying for our own too,
Right.
our own lawyers. So now this time a different judge, Judge Polk, came to a strikingly similar conclusion. Okay, requiring the city to certify the amendment on December 12th, 2023, and the city lost again, number three. Okay. So went before the council. They again decided that they would move forward with an appeal. Okay. Councilman Herman Cole made the motion. It was seconded. Finally, when it went to a vote, it actually split the council. The mayor and the vice mayor voted not to appeal. The other three, Sarah Stokel, Jolyn Nelson, and Herman Cole, were the three that took the day. So
what was their reasoning for appealing again, yet again? And
it's hard to wrap your head around this, I know, because it's the same.
Garbage.
Yeah, thank you.
Garbage.
Thank you. Come on. Three judges have somewhat weighed in and said, two of them in black and white very forcefully, and you think you're somehow more knowledgeable?
so is it
more-
possible that as a backdrop to this, so Titusville has had a long history of problems with water, particularly the Indian River, right? So is this the backdrop of it? I mean, do they feel like they're complicit in this because of some of the dumping that is going on? Or is there a connection there?
There are a lot of theories, okay, but I suspect what you're saying is certainly one of them. I think their concern is that all of a sudden they're going to be sued, and that's not the way this works, okay? The way this would work is from now going forward, okay, if a permitting agency did something that was not in the best interest of all our citizens, then a court in equity would rule that whoever did the mess, that they need to undo the mess, okay, and not to penalize them on top of it, which, in my opinion, they should, but just to get them to be accountable for bad behavior.
Clean up their mess.
Yes, and and eventually people get the message. Hey, the status quo is no longer. I have to be accountable, so I'm not going to continue doing the same old that I've been doing.
So the city has been caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They're being held as being culpable, and they are denying it because they don't want to be responsible for any of the implications of it. Is that what you're telling me?
I think that's one good theory. Okay. But like I said, think about it. Okay. If you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's going to cost you.
Right.
Okay. Eventually, it's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you more because you allowed things to continually degrade. Now you got to clean it up rather than preventing the problem from the first place. So, it's a no-brainer, like I said, but it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that some of these people just don't get it.
Now, they're suing not just some entity that's out in space, they're suing you
Yeah.
and all of the people who brought the petition, right, to the forefront. So the city is spending, let's get this correct, tell me if I'm wrong, the city of Titusville, Florida is spending citizens' money to sue the citizens who brought the petition before them to try to keep them accountable for the clean water in this area.
Actually,
Is that correct?
It's more eloquent than that.
Okay.
Okay. because their job is to do what we ask them to do.
Right.
And the fact that the citizens voted on a ballot initiative because they were not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they have the gall to say, no, we're not gonna certify this ballot. We're gonna fight you.
So, and the backdrop of this is the condition of the river, the lagoon. So tell us about this. Why is this important that you're spending a lot of time fighting on this? So when we look at what's going on here, why is this so important to the average everyday citizen?
Well, I mean, it really, simplest way I can say it is, we are our environment. Our environment is us. We poison the well, you're poisoning us. Okay. And most people, I don't think, have a reference that says that they reckon. I'm a scientist by background, okay? So I know that the environment is me. If the environment is dying, I am dying.
So
My future is dying.
Well, it's just like that child, recently that got paralyzed
That's right.
from the bacteria that was in the river. And it's frightening and frankly infuriating that two of my opponents, Dan Diesel and Robert Jordan, were two of these people on that council that were fighting you guys.
So they voted twice, right, for this measure to be appealed, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so on the backdrop of this, so you're looking at
Now it's 3 times, by the way.
3 times, but
Right.
Diesel voted the last time, he voted against it, right?
Right. It was a
But the
split.
first 2 times, he voted for it
Right.
to appeal the measure, even though 82% of the people in Titusville
Yes,
voted
inexcusable.
for it.
Inexcusable.
Right.
Who's behind this and why people of sane mind would go along with that? Who is got the agenda in that back office that says, hey, you guys, you may appear different, but you're all going to vote the same.
Right,
Right.
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 So are they dumping, is the city of Titusville dumping sewage into the Indian River, and what are the implications of that?
Okay. When you say dumping, it's like somebody gets a drum and dumps.
No,
okay?
I don't picture Dan Diesel taking sewage down to the Indian River and
No,
dumping it
well,
in, but are they
here-
allowing this to happen?
Here's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, we have people that have been doing analyses of the water, and we know that there is a continual load being presented to the lagoon,
Right.
particularly when there is a big rain event, because those ponds are full of crap. Okay, that was there from the 7.2 gallon. So anytime you have a big rain event, you get all that stuff churned up, and it goes into the lagoon.
They like to call it nutrients.
So what are the implications of this?
The
So I'm-
implications is
yeah,
you have kids that come through on a paddleboard.
Yeah.
That's the worst situation, although there are others. I mean, the number of people that I know have had bad infections because they walked into the water, okay? They may have had a slight scrape or whatever. Laurel Lee Thompson was one of them, okay, way back, okay? The number of people that have had that experience is just very large, very large. People eat, you see people constantly fishing,
I see it all the
and some
time.
of them take that stuff. That's
A lot of the shrimp that are coming out of the river there.
yeah.
So is it fair to say that the city is participating in the poisoning of the Indian River Lagoon?
Yeah, there's such a thing as enacting. In other words, not acting on the behalf of the citizens, which therefore makes you culpable if you're not doing your job for the safety of the citizens.
So tell me, how would the Right to Clean Water Act affect this? Okay, so
Okay.
make the distinction there for me.
Okay. This is what's referred to as a Green Amendment.
Okay.
Okay. So what makes it a Green Amendment is because it will be a constitutional amendment in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Okay, will give us a fundamental right to clean and healthy water. Okay, so that means that, prospectively, somebody does something, and typically it's a permitting agency. That's the history of this area, okay? They allow a permit that shouldn't have been allowed because the fact that you're asking for a permit usually means that you want to do something that is not in the best interest of everybody, and therefore you shouldn't get that permit. But yet, once you have a permit, you can do whatever you want, meaning, what that permit was giving you the right to do. You can't take it back, even if you're, poisoning the lagoon.
Okay, so speak to the people who would say that this is causing more government intrusion into the lives of people. So you would have a lot of your businesses who would say, hey, this is going to make it hard on us. This is government intrusion. We're not allowed to be able to do things. And you have more laws that are going to limit building and any endless amount of things. Have you heard that argument?
I have, but I actually believe that if you have the right people in place, that you can have good government that is responsible to the citizens. That's not what we have pretty much throughout this county, lots of Florida, okay? So if you have the right people in place, Katie, okay, then you prevent this stuff and they do what's in the interest of the citizens, not, this we attempted to do through the Brevard Review Commission a couple of years ago, a few
The
years
county
ago.
review, yeah.
Thank you,
The county
Review.
charter.
We went before them 3 times, 3 strikes and you're out. Finally, they told us we lost 11-14.
And why did they vote it down?
This was a shock to me, but I'm new at this game, all right?
Okay.
Property rights. The way they see things is, this is your property, Katie. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, even if it mucks up the rest of our property.
Wow.
Meaning our environment, our air, our water, okay? So, I believe in property rights, but you gotta be responsible for your, to the earth, to your property, to the people around you. It's only right,
Because
So
what happens if what you're doing on your property affects everybody else?
That's right,
Yeah.
So then what you're saying is that where you find it an issue is when someone is on their property, they're causing some environmental problem that is affecting the lagoon or some of the other tributaries that come from ponds or lakes or whatever.
That's right. Whether it's low impact development, putting developments on our well areas. Well number 2, Brookshire sits over well number 2 that never should have been developed, that was developed. If this had been in place, I don't think so. Okay? The citizens, along with all the powers that be, nonprofits, had decided over 2 decades ago that would not be developed. Okay? And then we turned around one day, the place was just bulldozed. And now they have flooding there. And the communities adjacent to that development have flooding. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. Yeah. Several meetings ago, Dwight Severs brought in a case. Dwight used to be our
City attorney.
45 years, yeah. The guy is highly respected. Brought on all these pictures from the flooding that was occurring as a result of that development.
Do you think that the city of Titusville, are the politicians just indifferent anymore? I mean, so they see all of this happening. Do they care? I mean,
I think they're
what is-
tuned out.
Right.
They're so numb because
Right.
this is the culture. This is the way things have been done, and it's like bulb doesn't go off. And now at least I think the citizens are waking up to the point where people are saying, "Gee," I'm talking about the council. "Gee, maybe we should think about this a little bit before we, go to the next step." And that's beginning to happen.
So tell me where are we at now as far as the right to clean water, and what is your
Okay.
relationship with the city, and how can the citizens get involved to be able to help you in this endeavor?
Okay. Well, as far as the Titusville thing, that's pretty much done. It's on appeal. It probably won't be decided for close to a year, okay? But it goes through a 3-panel judge, and our feeling is that they are going to rule in our favor.
So just hold that point there. So is it possible that what the city is trying to do is run out the clock,
Delay,
right, and delay so that you, because this is getting expensive for you, right?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? Keep going. You know,
But I mean,
the
but that's a
citizens
tactic
are
that they're
waking
trying to use.
up. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a tactic they're trying to use because
Sure.
why the city has the money of the citizens
Yeah.
to sue other citizens,
right.
which is what they're doing here, right? And so their hope is to just run out the clock, right?
Right.
Okay, so continue. So where are we at now with that? So
Okay.
panel of
So,
judges.
you know, and I tried to tell people, you know what, you can relax. Okay, yeah, we need money to fight, okay? But this is a done deal. That petition for Titusville is pretty airtight. Okay? So we just have to wait it out. There's nothing else we can do. Our lawyer is getting his stuff together for the time when we have to go to court on this last appeal. Okay? More importantly, though, now, since that's really done, okay, except for the lawyers, is the new state amendment. And if you don't mind, I'd like to shift gears into that.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, we had a 2024 campaign, meaning that it ended this last December. Okay. We did not make it. We are a grassroots organization, meaning that we started out with 1, 2, 3 people, and we're trying to spread out across the state. We have the resources that we have, none, to get petitions, to pay for this, to get social media, to get a website. So all this had to be done from day one. And we started collecting petitions rather late, you know. We only have literally just about 2 years. We have to collect, for the last cycle, 891,000 petitions accepted. So it means at another 13 to 15%, over 1 million, because some get thrown out, okay, in order to make that ballot, all right? So for the last round, we collected 120,000 roughly. I was so depressed over it. And then we find out, we started talking to professionals, and they said, man, we would have been amazed if you had collected 10,000.
That was a pretty good percentage.
The fact that you collected 120,000 means that all we need to do is fine tune. Okay, and now we have the help of some professionals. Okay, and one professional we hope to hire as a fundraiser in order to go out with a mailing campaign that will recover that 120,000 and maybe some more. Okay, so that costs money, $10 million probably to do a mailing campaign. So this time around though, we've got website in place, we've got people, which we obviously have to grow more because it's the same effort all over again. We have social media, we have fundraising, we have marketing. We have all these pieces in place and we're working feverishly. This is going to happen. Okay, but we need everybody to get involved.
Okay, so
everybody
how can people get in contact with you and how can they help you? So you have the Florida Right to CleanWater.org. Great website. I went on it and got a lot of information on it.
Florida Right to CleanWater.org. That website is fabulous, okay? It's being fine-tuned, but at this point, you know, it's just amazing, okay, the stuff that's been done with that website. You can get the petition, you can register to do many of the things that I've just spoken about. You know, your choice, depending on what you can do. If you can collect petitions, great. If you can't, maybe you can do calling, you know. Lots of different things, scheduling events, coordinating things. So we need people, we need money, and we're going to get all those things, but we need everybody to do a little bit. You know, that's what I try to impress on people, that, you know, when everybody kicks in, this becomes a done deal. And I don't want to collect petitions for another 2 years. I've already been doing it for 3.
And another thing that I would say is throw the rascals out. And in this, you've encountered, it's not just Democrats, this is not a political issue. You're seeing Republicans on the city council as well as Democrats. They both were in lockstep with
Yep,
this,
yep,
right?
yep, yep.
And so you
yep.
had Dan Diesel, you have Robert Jordan, you have Sarah Stokel, you have Robinson. They're all, it's almost like most of the time they're voting in unison against these things. This is
Right.
mind-boggling.
Yes, in unison, it's like, come on, somebody's got to have a different opinion.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
mean, what does that come?
Well, we'll find out. I think we have our opinion about that. But we'll find out. But one of the things that you know that you can do is we need to get elected to office people who really are concerned about the citizens. You have people in office today who do not, their concern is not for you. They are not concerned about you. They're only concerned with ingratiating themselves. Now, I want to move on to a different segment, and Tom, you can chime in on some of this. So we have the firefighters, we call it shenanigans, that is happening with the county. And so they are up for a renewal of their contract. And so you were at this meeting. What happened with the county, with the firefighters?
Right. So I've been going to the firefighter negotiations for the county for, I believe, the past 3 or 4 months. And basically, this April meeting, the county assured the fire union that they would be speaking about wages. And so, which of course is the number one thing that everyone's concerned about when you're talking contracts. Um, and unfortunately, or I'll say fortunately, there were about 50 to 70 firefighters that showed up for that meeting last week. And the county was not ready to present any kind of wages. I know that the union has presented them with the entire contract, so it's not like the county doesn't know what they're asking for. So not only did they lie and not operate in good faith, in my opinion, these firemen and EMTs and paramedics, they are forced to work overtime for minimal wages
There's a
compared.
shortage in Brevard County now because of the fact
Right.
that the way that this has been handled. They're hemorrhaging firefighters who
Experience.
are experienced
Right.
firefighters. And tell us about that because it seems like that the people are not aware of what's going on as
Right.
far as that's concerned.
So basically, our surrounding counties are paying their firefighters $10,000 to $15,000 more a year than what our firefighters are getting paid, and it's extremely frustrating because our people do an incredible job with having to work so many more hours than their counterparts in other areas. And the dedication and the love that these people have for our community, the ones that have stayed put and are willing to keep working and keep saving lives for less money than other areas. I mean, we have got to support these people.
So what do you think is going to be the outcome here with the county? Will they come back and actually, so I just laugh at this because I look at my property tax bill and I see firefighters on
Right.
there. The money is being allocated. Why are they not getting it?
So I would actually like to see an audit of the fire department because I would like to know where that money is going. And I know that that's something that is not an unpopular idea in the fire department because they want to know the same thing because the county keeps crying poor. But we have an over
I still
$2
look at my
billion
property tax
budget.
bill and I see
Right.
money being allocated for that. Why are they not getting the money?
Right. Yeah. The county's got to answer that question. And when I'm sitting on that dais, if that question hasn't been answered, I'm going to insist on an audit.
Okay, so that's coming to a head there. And
Right.
probably going to come to a head here in the next month or so, right?
Yeah.
Speak Up Brevard rally coming up on Tuesday. And
Yeah.
so there is a measure in the county in which they allow for citizens to put in suggestions,
Right.
and they allowed for certain suggestions to be inputted and others not.
Right.
Tell us about it.
So Speak Up Brevard is an awesome program that we have in our county charter, and basically it's for citizens to formally input into our county government and to give proposals for different changes that they want to see happen in our county. And the cool thing about this program is that they actually have to, the county actually has to respond, which many times when people go to the podium and request things, the county just sits there with a blank, stare across their face. And while you go through your 3 minutes and then you have to sit back down, you never hear a peep from them. But this program is special because it is required. They have to
Unfortunately,
chime in
for them.
They feel that way. I think that it's a great thing because if we're not there to, collaborate with the people we're supposed to be representing, what are we doing?
Correct.
So I think it's a great program.
So this is Tuesday at the county commission
Right.
meeting. Tell us the time and place.
Sure. So we're going to be at the county commission building in Vieira from 3:30 to 4:30 before the commission meeting. And some of the points that we're going to be rallying about is we want to support citizen engagement. The people don't feel heard. Our voices matter. And the most glaring thing, almost like with your initiative, but the opposite, 83% of the citizen recommendations were rejected by the staff.
Of course.
And it's pretty
It
funny
sounds-
because Commissioner Steele, he actually responded to a citizen this week through email. The citizen requested that the speakers get more time to talk about this at the commission meeting, because if you put in one proposal or 20 proposals, you still only get those 3 minutes to speak on this. So how could you have any meaningful debate or conversation in 3 minutes if you put more than one proposal in?
Katie, you're not getting the point. That is the point.
So one thing that I will be doing and will be proposing if I'm on that dais is I think that we should have a special meeting just for Speak Up Brevard, where we can actually have meaningful conversation and not just a blanket yes no from the staff. Let's rubber stamp that and get going, because the people's voices matter. They matter.
And I'll say to you again that the citizens, you are the government. The people that are sitting in those seats are supposed to be your representatives.
Right.
You're the government, according to this Constitution, and they've gone off the trail into doing whatever they want to do. But
Participated in Speak Up Brevard? I didn't even know about this until this year, actually. So I was surprised when I heard about this.
My participation has been recent as well.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll be there on Tuesday as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to come, please come and rally with us. It's
what
fun.
time is starts
3:30.
at 3:30? Okay.
Tuesday.
Now, the last thing, and we'll close out on this, is the TEC meeting. So tell us about that. You are aware of this as well, Tom.
Right.
You can chime in on this. Tell us about the TEC meeting and what went on there.
Right. So it's actually coming up, and it's at Titusville City Hall. Do you know what the date is on that?
They're on Wednesday,
Wednesday. So basically,
and it's between the PNC. So you have the PNC, the TEC, and then the
And then the-
PNC again.
yeah. So there's a couple things that's funny about this meeting that they do in Titusville. So only every other meeting is recorded. So that's pretty bizarre.
Why? What is the reasoning behind that?
For years, we've been trying to get them to record. I mean, citizens have spoken on this. Obviously, the commission, the TEC commission, has asked. And finally, this year, for the first time, it was recorded, but now it's every other meeting.
Wow.
Okay. And, they talk about money, but come on, give me a break.
Right.
It's just another one of these false,
Right.
flares.
So tell us what the TEC is and how important this is.
It's the Environmental Commission for the city of Titusville. So they deal with a lot of the water issues and lots of anything that has to do with the environment.
Okay.
And one of the things that's on the agenda for this coming up TEC meeting is to remove the first public comment portion. And for me, I'm a huge advocate for more citizen participation. And what what that first public comment section does is it gives the people the availability to talk to the commission before they have their conversation. So that way they can have some of the citizen input to maybe talk about while they're going through their agenda. And then there's also a second opportunity at the end for public comment, which that one's going to stay. But the one that comes first is almost more important because it helps you get in on the
Influences the
conversation. Right. And I don't know if Tom wants to chime in on this at all. Yeah. Yeah.
So what time is that?
Uh,
That's at 5:30
okay.
30 this coming,
on Wednesday coming up.
okay. All right, so we have that. And so as we get ready to, is it the, let's see, this coming Thursday, Wednesday is the 11th. Yeah, the 10th. Well, we'll figure it out.
We'll put it in the description for you guys.
Okay, so we close, as we get ready to close out, we always try to close with a quote, and this is from Abraham Lincoln. Now, notice what he says, and this is important. We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. And boy, you see that, and you've heard it as we've talked here today. You got to get out people who are not really concerned about your constitutional rights, and they're using public office not as servants, but to ingratiate themselves. Thank you for watching another edition of Brevard News, your trusted news source in Brevard County. For real news, my name is Kevin Jeffrey, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week on another episode. Have a wonderful week.